Let's talk about the, what are we doing?
Minnesota.
Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota.
All right. We've got, again, we will start with their losses, additions, get into a little bit of takeaways, talk about the record. So your Vikings are coming off a 7-10 season where they lost Kirk Cousins to an Achilles tear and to the Atlanta Falcons. Danielle Hunter, stud pass rusher, is now on the Houston Texans. Alexander Madison didn't really work out well for them, but he's on the Raiders. KJ Osborne, wide receiver 3, is now on the Patriots. DJ Wonnum, who is, I think, a bigger bit a loss than people realize. He was pretty good pass rusher for them. He's on the Panthers. And then you got, we talked about Greg Joseph going to the Green Bay Packers. You also had linebackers Jordan Hicks and Anthony Barr also gone from that defense. As much as they lost, they brought in just as much. So Aaron Jones coming over from the Packers there. Sam Darnold locking up one of the best wide receiver in football, in my opinion, Justin Jefferson. We felt that was important enough to put on the additions. Sam Darnold, who may be the starting quarterback, is slated to start right now.
He's slated through training camp at least.
See. Van Ginkel from the Miami Dolphins, Renard from Houston Texans, Blake Cashman from the Houston Texans, and Dallas Turner, who I was a bit surprised dropped all the way down to them at that pick there. When we had a big run of offense in the draft.
Hey, we're missing an addition.
Who do we got?
The quarterback of the national champion.
Oh yes, I'm surprised you brought that up as a Buckeyes guy.
No, I just want to hate on him, to be honest.
He is there. He does exist, and that's one of the things to take away, like QB battle. What are your thoughts going into training camp, and who's going to start?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because JJ McCarthy, to me, is definitely not ready to be an NFL starting quarterback. He's the prototypical program quarterback, like scheme quarterback. They didn't throw the ball in the second half. I think at least one game, if not 2 games, of the college football season.
When you say program quarterback, you're talking about like Tom Brady?
And he was a program quarterback at New England for the first okay.
All right.
Just ride the defense. This defense is not New England's defense of the early 2000s. Just saying.
That is a great point.
But anyways, no, I think it's probably a good idea to go ahead and lock down a starting quarterback going into training camp, just so everybody knows, like, Sam Darnold's the guy right now. Especially with JJ coming in there, and he is a very athletic dude that has a gun strapped to his shoulder. Half the time, that gun just wants to slide it in about anywhere. He'll just start chucking balls, and half the time they land in feet or 3 rows in the stands. But yeah, I don't know.
But you're not salty about him not losing to Ohio State.
I'm very salty about that.
I just wanted to get that out there. All right. So yes, we'll
see if he can, match Stroud's rookie scheme of last year.
Okay. I will not be. I am not calling for a CJ Stroud season at all. But yeah. I will hold my comments because I think that gets into one of my bets there. So let's talk injuries real quick. Big one here for fantasy and for this team. TJ Hawkinson.
Probably the biggest one we're going to talk about tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep. TJ Hawkinson's in there. ACL, MCL tear. So if you pull up a diagram here of the knee, you've got your ACL, anterior cruciate ligament, your MCL on the inside part there. Both major stabilizing ligaments of the knee, both fully torn. Both require surgery to fix. It's about a 10 to 12 month recovery timeline, and he injured himself late in December. He's only got about 8.5 months till the start of the season. What are you thinking here? He's going around tight end 13. He's got a pretty big range on the ADP front, but tight end 13, 12 to 15, and then in that 105 to 150 range around guys like Cole Kmet and David Njoku. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, so from a Viking standpoint, this isn't good, especially with a new quarterback coming into town, you want all of your weapons available. TJ Hawkinson is a huge one. He's not going to be available for the first probably what would you say, 6 to 8 weeks
Yep.
at least?
Yep.
So I think from a fantasy perspective, that's where things get a little bit tricky for me. I think
Mhm.
he's one that I probably would not draft,
Yeah.
even though I really like TJ Hawkinson from a fantasy perspective, just because he's going to be on the IR. He's going to be on your bench for a good 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
With that being said, keep him on your radar because he is a stud. Once he gets back on the field, I think he's going to put up some numbers. But he's probably one that I would probably shift away from in terms of drafting because, like you said, he's on the bench for half the
Yeah.
season.
No, I mean, I think you're being nicer than I am. He's a full fade for me this year.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think he's a great player. I think he's a huge value for this team. I am avoiding him. Unless like I can absolutely get him for a steal, I will not be drafting TJ Hawkinson this season. I don't think people understand. We have a multi-ligament injury, not just an ACL injury that does extend the recovery timeline there, does bring down your outcomes a little bit more. It hits your skill positions the hardest.
Mhm.
I would want him to have at least a month and a half after the season starts until he really starts getting back into it. And that's
Mhm.
really just getting back into playing full speed. I don't think he's going to be 100% right away. And I don't think there's any reason to rush them. I also don't see them having the best season. So I don't think they're going to really want to risk him moving forward by sending him out there too soon. So for me,
Sure.
TJ Hawkinson is not somebody I will be targeting at all in the drafts. He's going around guys like David Njoku, Cole Kmet. Not a big Kmet guy, but I would definitely rather have Njoku and take some other tight ends.
Mhm.
That does leave a big hole. I mean, behind him, it's Josh Oliver, Robbie Tunyon, and Johnny Munt. What the fuck? Dude, I know I've been calling for
Those
this.
dudes have had a week in the NFL season.
Yeah,
I've heard of them.
maybe. I heard of Bobby Tunyon once before he tore his ACL with Aaron Rodgers and had 8 touchdowns that year. But I mean, dude, I've been calling for this over on X, but I guess I'll do it here. Okay, as a guy who watched all the games of the United Football League, Sal Cannella is still
Mhm.
available. He was the best tight
Mhm.
end and one of the best receiving threats in the entire league by far. The Saints
Good
worked him
point.
out. They didn't take him for whatever fucking reason because New Orleans, a bunch of idiots there, and Dennis Allen. But whether it's the Rams or the Vikings, which we'll talk about Tyler Higbee too, but TJ Hawkinson and Tyler Higbee are not starting this season. They will not be there for the first part of the season. Why is Sal Cannella not on the phone right away? Does not make any sense to me. Like, you're really going to roll out Josh Oliver and Bobby Tunyon, like, for your Sam Darnold or your rookie quarterback as your security blanket? It makes absolutely no sense to me. I like you said, TJ Hawkinson's a great player. This is a brutal injury. He's got a multi-ligament knee injury. He does not even have 9 months. The injury or the data shows, evidence shows significant injury risk increase for a re-tear if you come back before that 9-month mark. So come on, Vikings. What are you doing? Let my guy Sal Cannella in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a fade for me. Other guys,
Yeah.
Brian Murphy coming off an MCL tear. MCL tear alone
He
is
should
a
be
lot.
fine.
Yeah, a lot less of an issue. It happened at the end of the year, 1 to 2 month thing. He's got 8.5 months, should be fine. And then Andrew Van Ginkel
Yep.
coming off a foot injury. Still trying to find out a little bit about him. He ended the season on IR for Miami Dolphins. So something you want to monitor in training camp. We have not been able to get a lot of info on him, kind of keeping it close to the vest. Know he's coming off a fairly significant injury.
Right.
And hopefully it's something just like a more of a Jones fracture, a fracture type, not a Liz Frank type, because, fracture type we're probably looking at closer to 3 to 4 months as opposed to anything super long term. So kind of keep the eyes peeled for Van Ginkel. Anything else on the injury front for you?
Nope.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about why don't you go ahead and give us your bets there. What do you got?
Yep. Yep. So a couple things. And we've kind of touched on these a little bit already. So without Hawkinson there, big opening for even more balls to be thrown towards Justin Jefferson's
Yep.
area, right?
Yep.
So between Jefferson, Addison, I would probably go Jefferson a little bit more in the red zone now that Hawkinson's out of there. I think Jefferson goes over 7.5 receiving touchdowns.
Okay.
That's at plus 100 right now on DraftKings.
Yeah.
And then we already talked about your boy JJ, the jet plane McCarthy. Who knows when he's actually going to be the starter? It could be week 1, it could be week 5, it could be week 10. We just don't know. So right now he is on DraftKings. His over-under is at 17.5 touchdowns. I'm taking the under every day of the week because I just don't trust him throwing the ball in the NFL. I can't. I honestly don't know why he was a top 11 quarterback drafted. It's just I can't do it.
Is that a unbiased opinion?
Yes.
Unbiased. Okay.
So.
Yeah. Now, I like the JJ.
It's I wouldn't say it's completely unbiased, but when it comes to my money, my betting is always unbiased.
Okay. Yeah. So pulling back the curtain a little bit, I like that. I've told Derek that I don't want to see his picks before, so we do not influence each other, because something like this, we are seeing this a little bit differently. So my best bet for this team, my only bet for the Vikings right now, is JJ McCarthy to be the day 1 starter at plus 210. Listen, as much as you don't like him, I'm not super high on the guy either, so I don't hate your under pick there. But they picked this man in the 10th for the 10th pick. They moved up in the draft 1 spot to get him at number 10. With they literally wasted draft capital because the Jets weren't taking him unless they thought the Broncos were going to jump up for him. But from my understanding, they're like the only team that had him as even a first-round quarterback grade. So, I mean, that might be an exaggeration, but I'm shocked. I was shocked that he even left this year. I thought he needed at least another year. But it's a different NFL, man. If you go up to the top 10, and what's going to sell tickets? Think about this. If you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, are you more excited for fucking Sam Darnold, who's been seeing ghosts since however long? He couldn't even beat out Zach Wilson.
He learned behind Brock Purdy. He's
cured. He's cured of sucking ass. He couldn't make it work.
He sat out there in California for a year. He's
already got a second chance in Carolina. That shit burned up in flames, man. I think that if you're going to spend a top 10 draft pick, you're going to start the kid somehow, some way. From what you're saying, I think
it's already been reported that he's bouncing balls into receivers' feet. It's all right.
It's too late, man. You already made the pick. It's too late, man. I think you got it rolling out there. I think all right. So between Darnold and JJ McCarthy, if you're going to have someone who's going to make splash plays in training camp, they're going to go viral and get the crowd excited. You telling me it's fucking Sam Darnold or is it JJ McCarthy? Because I agree.
Hall.
It's what did you say?
Jaron Hall.
I'm
going Jaron Hall or Nick Mullins.
Oh my gosh. Are they still on the team? Yep, they're still on the team. I had to check over there.
They are according to
the depth chart. But no, I just think you spent the draft capital. JJ McCarthy plus 210. I like the price. But yeah, this team for me is very lukewarm. Probably the most lukewarm of a team as I'm going to have this year. Their defense is they're okay. Offense without Hawkinson, offensive line is
I think they take a step back.
Yeah,
their offensive line is meh.
I mean, they were 7 and 10 last year.
Yeah, Aaron Jones coming in gives him a little bit of a boost, but
yeah, I that's fair, but I don't think he does too much. I think they finish around that record again, 7 and 10. They're over under 6.5. It's pretty juiced to the over. I think I would lean over, but I'm not have a strong play there. I like the McCarthy day 1 start at plus 210 better.